That's probably good enough to get going. If Frank's there, chat gang's there in spirit.
Yeah.
How's it going tonight, everybody? Welcome to RantCast, episode 37. We're going to be talking Pointy Elves all night tonight, with maybe a
Heck
slight
yeah.
detour into Holy Wars. I am Mr. Mephisto, the most dangerous man in Age of Sigmar, as I've recently been coined. I'm
Oh,
also
wow.
the monster.
Who said that?
That has to do with being on Warhammer Weekly, and something Vince kind of said to me to boost my spirits after I saw a couple comments in the comments section.
Oh, you read comments?
You know, when I go on somebody else's podcast or thing, like I try to kind of boost their signal. So like I first thing you do is you click the thumbs up, then you go and you post a comment because that helps the robots. And then like I respond to the chat to like keep it active, but like apparently I was policing his chat and I was the worst guest in 18 months of Warhammer Weekly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Vince coined me the most dangerous man in Age of Sigmar. So there you have it. If the Warhammer Weekly Vince says it, it's got to be true. I'm also the monster under Jacob Berry's bed, but more on that later. But yeah, like I said, welcome to RantCast. You guys are chat gang. I'm sitting here with Brice, aka Moosegeek _ on Twitter. How's it going tonight, man?
Wonderful day. We got an elf preview. We just got back from Holy Wars. Things in life were great.
Yeah. I saw you were kind of grinding it out, getting that display board. Like, it seemed like kind of a last minute decision. You're like, oh yeah, I might as well throw together a display board.
The whole army was a last minute decision, so let's not just qualify the display board as a last minute.
The whole army.
Yeah.
But if you're in for a penny, in for a pound, you're like, I'm throwing together an entire army. That was actually born in chat gang, wasn't it? Like
Sure was.
That's a challenge.
It will not happen tonight. No chance.
No chat gang challenges tonight. You've been told,
No.
Chat gang.
No.
Behave yourself now. but you actually challenged Kyle, or did Kyle challenge you? How did that go down exactly?
I challenged Kyle. You had left to get a drink or do something responsible, and I was trying to fill time, and I accidentally said, Kyle, if you play 10 more ghast, I will paint an entirely new army. And then he accepted.
In 3 weeks.
Yeah. So, like, mistakes, sometimes they happen, and it wasn't a mistake. It was just a really bad decision.
All great stories start with it was a bad decision, essentially. But you went to Holy Wars. You actually got the project done. What was the project?
I did.
What was this mystery army?
So I did what originally started what was going to be a Sylvaneth army that was going to be all Revenants and Drycha, and then maybe like a Tree Lord or Durthrub. And Sylvaneth are really stupid, and they suck, and trees are dumb. So then I was like, well, I can't do that. And then I was like, well, you might as well play it as Daughters of Cain. That army is broken. So I had all Spite Revenant bodies with Medusa, or the Melusai, I think would be what they are. Bodies and heads, so are torsos and heads. So it was an insane conversion project that I decided, you know what's worse than converting a whole army? Paint the whole army too. So but it turned out exactly as I had hoped I could execute in such a short amount of time. There's still a lot of highlighting and work like that needs to be done. And I have plans to do that for the future, but it was super cool to see the response of the night I shared it. For a small little boy like me, 250 likes on a tweet is like I just broke the internet. So that was really cool, and just to all the kind things that people had said, it makes there were 3 times where I tapped out, and I was like, there's no chance. I sent Kyle a message on the Tuesday before Holy Wars, and then we were playing D&D on Wednesday, and I was like, no, I just can't do it, guys. I'm just gonna play and focus instead of paint and play. And they all yelled at me and said, no, we're not playing if you're not painting. And it got there, and I got to walk home with a with a cool trophy at the end of the day. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
pretty legit.
yeah. You got a was it a fan? Was it a favorite
Yeah,
army?
fan favorite. So
Right on.
um,
Right
yeah.
on. Not bad for 3 weeks of work. See, I tapped out at 3 weeks of work. Well, I didn't tap out, but it was I didn't finish my 5 ponies for P.A.K.A. and I just like fuck it. I'll run 180 points shy and I'll
Yeah.
stuff endless spells in instead of Mortek guards. So, I mean, it's not that impressive to out hobby me, but like just as a just as a tip of the hat to you, man. Like you literally did what I could not do. Um,
Yeah,
and
and
you
the thing
crushed
about
it.
Holy Wars is you have a 1,000 point sideboard too. So it was actually I painted 2,400 points.
Evening Doom.
Yeah.
Got a celebrity in the chat tonight. Yeah, and then you also, instead of just putting it on a picture frame, you actually built an entire display board as well, which was the part that blew my mind.
Well, yeah, when you're gonna flex, you gotta flex, right? You can't half flex, and it's not impressive.
But I feel like you can get away with flexing one bicep instead of both.
No, no, it's always two pumps, you know?
Yeah, to go with the full beach flex. Like,
Yeah.
oh man. Anyway, congratulations. So how was Holy Wars in general? Like, just
Yeah, so I think I've talked about this on here before. Holy Wars for me is like top three, if not top two events that happen every year. It was at a new venue this year. It was actually in Naperville instead of some middle of nowhere town outside of Chicago. So that was really cool because the hotel was really nice. The room was a lot bigger, which was great. There was a ton of food around, which is always nice, like for lunch and stuff. Fast food type places, but like good high quality stuff. So that was sweet. Breakfast was incredible. They had like a whole like omelet bar where the chef would make any type of
nice.
omelet, and it was all included too, in the hotel stay. And the hotel was reasonable, like 100 something a night, 110.
Okay.
So not bad. Yeah, and the venue was great. For those who don't know, just check out Holy Hammer Hearn on Twitter. His tables are the most insane things you'll ever see. He he calls it a narrative event. The tables are narrative. They each tell a story. You get points for having a narrative behind your story. It's part of the minimum requirement to qualify to win awards and stuff like that. And it's just awesome. Like the coolest thing about it is you can grudge every round, which I say is the coolest thing, but I love it and hate it at the same time because I know I'm going to play 5 people that I absolutely love and adore, but I do miss out on that opportunity to just like meet new people, you know?
Yeah.
I got to play 3 people I've never played before, but I know them all and love them all, but I'd like, you know, that first interaction with someone at a tournament that you've never met, or you know, making those new friendships. So
yeah, we wouldn't have met if it weren't for random pairings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, it's I've spoken so highly of it, and tons of people speak highly of it. It's an incredible time, and I would highly recommend anyone who's not been, find a way to get there, even if it's just once. That you'll never play 5 games like what you'll play at a Holy Wars or Holy Havoc.
So I haven't personally made Wars. I actually didn't realize I had already signed up for Holy Wars when I had to back out. I'm like, oh crap! Like I did sign up for that. I saw myself on the list, and so I ended up having to back out of that, unfortunately. And my FOMO was probably just as high as it was for the P.A.K.A. I missed. Like it was just as high, that fear of missing out. But like it couldn't be helped. There's just so much going on right now. So now that's become the new P.A.K.A. Like I have to make it to Holy Wars next year. And my brain is already like, I can make it to Holy Havoc this year, because Holy Havoc for me is a top 3 event. Like it's a Holy Havoc.
You went last year, right?
Yes, that was my first Havoc.
Okay.
That was my first Holy event. So I went last year. That was went unbeaten. You know, great. Took the Beasts of Chaos out for a spin. Like just great time. Like you said, I had a grudge every round. Like, whether someone grudged me or we grudged somebody, and it was mostly like us getting grudged. I mean, it's Halo and me. Like, we're gonna get grudged by people. I talk a lot of shit on the internet. So like, no, so like we get grudged every round, and like it was great. But I still kind of, because it was a partners format, I got to play some people I never played, because like usually I would only know one. That being said, like it's probably okay if you play 6 tournaments a year and one of them are like grudges every round. That's part of the fun of that event.
for sure.
And so I think that's great. And I mean, there's something to be said for like how the tables play out. Just from my Havoc experience, it's a wild card, and it helps you solve a new puzzle rather than like go in like with this like unmitigated expectation, because that could really like put a damper on your weekend. You go in going, okay, the tables are going to be the tables, so I'm just going to play and have fun. And really... Go ahead.
You have to go in with that mentality. Like, if you go in thinking like it's a normal GT and like you're there to win all your games, you're not gonna enjoy it. Like, you got to go in and know like the tables do crazy things, and I'd say it's even more crazy when it's just a 2K game, because like you have to make all the decisions, and like your pieces are much more important. And like in a team event, you can kind of split the table in half if you need to, and everything still functions.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you have to like have a Daughters of Cain army that really functions with one another, and you have to split it out across the table, and you can't do your ball of death, decisions get really interesting. But the tables, like the tables for someone like me, where they cause crazy stuff to happen, that's exactly what I want. You know, like that's what makes it fun. So yeah, and I also went 5-0. I think I was 1 point off of taking first place.
Not bad for throwing an army together in 3 weeks.
And I had never played a game with it before the weekend. Talk about flexing earlier, right? Yeah. I'm just gonna do it all night.
That was the full beach flex. Like, you did the like, have y'all seen my bowling ball? It's this big around, and you like throw the gun show down it. Oh, I think I saw it go over there, and then you flex and point like the other direction. Like, you did the full like Atlas sprawl. All right. So man, but yeah, so Holy Wars was great. I'm already scheming to go to Havoc, but it's on my son's birthday. And so, like, there's a small...
we talked about this. You bring him along, and he's your minion.
See...
Or he's Nagash. You put the hat on him and let him be Nagash. Mm-hmm. Then all weekend he gets to boss you around. Think of how great of a birthday memory that would be.
See, stop tempting me. Like, freaking Vince spammed me with, like, temptation gifts and, like, sentences the other day. And I'm like, his mom won't even be mad. Because, like, throwing a party for, like, 12 kids is actually kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and this is, like, a free birthday party. There's going to be 30 people there that would have a blast. I'll make them a Nagash hat. I'm looking at one right now. It can't be that hard. It's just a big, stupid hat. I think we got a plan.
Well, and this is where the 5 grudges a game would be really beneficial, because I'm not gonna randomly get paired into anyone who's not prepared to play a father and son, right? Yeah. Like, everyone there would be people who are just like, oh yeah, it's Andrew and his 8-year-old kid. By then we'll be 8-year-old, and so you're on. Yeah. So that's one of the things I'd be insecure about taking a literal child to a tournament, is like I don't want to create a negative experience for other people, because he's going to be learning the game. I mean, even if we grind all summer long, like games every weekend together, right? He's still going to be learning.
Or you still play with Haywo and let him, you get him a little pedestal and you let him stand behind you and just point at the shit that you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I could do that. And then it's just on his attention span at that point. And like, how good of a parent am I when I'm distracted? I love it. I'll just let instead of like being an adult and talking to Molly about this for months in advance, I'll just like play this episode of RantCast for her.
yeah, exactly.
Be like, see, I told you don't support me or listen to my stuff, otherwise you'd have known about this months ago. You'd just listen to RantCast. All right, man. So we're here to talk about elves. Let's talk about some elves. You feel up to it? You got it in you?
I think so. I forgot my pointy hat, but I can do it.
So I need to say, as somebody who absolutely, like, when Ossiarch Bone Reapers came out, like, and it was just, for me, like, there was that one moment, like, they were releasing their little, like, tithe videos, and they started with the Maw Tribes one first, and then we got the Bone Reaper side of it. And it was actually driving back from NashCon with Brendan. They had Nova, I think, went on like right after NashCon, right around.
It was
NashCon.
the Sunday of NashCon. The video came out.
Right. So we're basically driving back. We get the video, and Brendan and I are sitting in the hotel room watching on his phone, just going, "Oh my god!" like, and losing our mind. So on a scale of like, cool, to oh my god, like, where do you fall in that when you got the Pointy Elves video?
Well, so because first they told us the Pointy Elf video was coming, which was an interesting choice. At that point, I was like, oh god, they're doing this to me again. It's like just a cities book all over again. I gotta get all this hype, and then it's gonna be gone, and then blah blah blah, being a little negative Nancy. And then the video came out, and I have never been more hyped for anything, I think, in my entire life.
See, that's a fantastic feeling, but like, I mean, I accidentally made a podcast when that happened for me. Like I can't, like, how are you venting these like every? Because they're dragging this out. We've had like three.
It's painful, man. Like, yeah, like that's the one complaint I would have. I'm not a big like build up guy. I just want it.
Yep.
Like I don't like rules previews and little tidbits here and there. I just want to be able to have it and figure it out. So having it not over the course of 2 or 3 weeks like everyone else has had, I get it over the course of 3 months, which just like I don't think it's, I wouldn't say it's frustrating, but it's like every week I'm like, is it week 2 yet, or is there another week? And then like tomorrow morning when we wake up, I'm gonna be like, oh, do they do them on Tuesdays or did they do it yesterday? And
well, because they're in like the weird timey-wimey time space that is like the UK and stuff. I don't quite understand it either. Like, is it Tuesday our time, their time? I don't know. It's no. So like you've got this like the Pointy Elves video, and I need to say I'm not an elf player, but what I love is I love seeing people get passionate about their thing. Because, like, I recognize a lot of, like, oh, I love my thing. Like, I knew I was playing Bone Reapers before I saw a rule. I saw that, like, that first video, and I'm like, wait, I'm getting super shredder skeletons? Yeah! Like, I was so, like, they found the secret, skeletons that found the secret of the ooze from, like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and bulked up. I was so pumped for that. So when I see people, like, because I'm like, this must be... When I saw some of the stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, awesome. I'm really happy for people, but that's not for me. And then I'm like, and then you're just like, yes, like the hands go up, and I'm like, that must be what it was like when I was super happy. And like people are like, I don't get it. They're just skeletons.
Yep.
Oh man, see, I love that though. I love that passion, and I'm, as a now that we've established my credentials, not that we need to, as a death player who doesn't play elves, when I saw that Pointy Elf video, I lost my shit because I thought it was hilarious. like somebody had to be sitting in like a draft room or something with like the creative staff or the PR department, whoever came. It could have been writers, it could have been like the PR, whoever came up with it. They're sitting there like, okay, we got to come up with a video, and they're like, okay, so we did like. When we did the video for, like, OCR Bone Reapers, we did, like, a full narrative thing. We built up to, like, the bad guy, like, saying, I don't enjoy murdering people and taking their bones, but I actually kind of do. And so, like, they had this narrative arc to reveal Catacross. I'm like, what are we going to do for elves? I know, we'll have some guy come on, like, a southern gentleman with, like, with an accent, talk about elves to, like, some dulcet, like, low-key music in the background. I'm just like... That's the one.
What could be better?
No. We got like a pseudo Persian like vibe to do the Catacross voice. We had like the weird.
Remember Marathi? How cool Marathi's was too. It was like a 4-part video of her talking in the background and the like the animation of the daughters, and then like that was sick.
But like there's like in a way. I like when they did the Pointy Elves thing, I checked the calendar. I checked to make sure.
Was it April?
Yes. I legitimately did because it felt so like tongue in cheek. That was like I know that they did for like was it like Speed Freaks or whatever, the goblins or whatever. They did something similar where it was very tongue in cheek too. But like you always expect that for Orcs and Destruction. like for this, I'm like, it's so tongue in cheek. I checked the calendar. I really did, because I was like laid off at the time, and time is meaningless to me when I'm laid off.
Did I miss 3 months? What's happening?
Like, was I laid off 3 months? And I'm like just scratching my head, like, and I, like Pointy Elves, and I loved it because they nailed it. I feel like they actually spoke directly to the audience, who's like, okay, fish elves aren't quite elves. You know, IDK aren't, like, most people don't think IDK are elves. They think they're like sea folk, and even Teclis doesn't think they're elves.
Bit of a mistake.
Ayo.
Okay.
And like Daughters of Cain are like a very niche. I mean, they're certainly elves, but they're very niche. They kind of went a little in their own direction, and I fully dig it. By the way, I love the Greek sort of serpent stuff. Like it makes complete sense for Marathi too, who's got this very Greek tragedy sort of backstory with. Oh well, it's had a nice soft reset because it got weird there in the old world.
Yeah.
But then you've got this, you had this feeling. I wanted to actually start the show with last time on RantCast and just like clip up audio of like you and Christian Ware not being excited for Cities of Sigmar.
Crapping all over the book. We had to end the episode talking about our hopes for Elf so that we weren't so negative.
Well, like, yeah, what do you hope for Elf? So off the back, this is kind of like a part 2 then. In a weird way, I was snickering so hard at the video because I feel like it was directed at you and Christian.
Oh, I know. I tweeted that today. It's like everything about this experience has been like they knew exactly what happened in my life from that point to now and exactly what I wanted. And I deserve some trolling for being so negative and not even playing an army that I literally have, 10,000 points worth of models that I could play in it, and I've not played a single game with cities because I'm so bitter.
So is this a good olive branch, you think? Or like, I know we haven't seen a rule yet, we haven't seen anything, but you're already.
I genuinely do not care what the rules are. People keep saying that to me, like, well, what if they're really bad or what if they're really good? I genuinely don't care. Like, I will stand on my soapbox for Teclis at the end, but first we can talk about the units that they've shown, right? The spearmen.
Yeah. So actually,
you pulling up pictures?
Yep, I got the spearmen up right now. This is the first image I grabbed was the spearmen. So spearmen are up there. I want to say real quick before we move on and we get into the models here. So like, the thing I didn't realize was going to be a challenge was with Bone Reapers coming out. I'm like, people ask me like, oh well, what if they're bad? I'm like, don't care. I'm still in on this army. What I didn't anticipate was what if they're great.
Oh yeah,
and like
that's what Isaiah says to me every single time we talk. And well, how are you going to play them if they're good? I'm like, I'll figure out a way to make them bad. Don't worry about it.
You'll be one of the benevolent ones self-comping when you catch heat immediately for the filth that you're about to play.
Yeah. And anyone that wants to say it's because of the rules, they can listen back to RantCast episode 37 when a rule wasn't even shown.
There you go. All right, so we got that out of the way. I just wanted to make sure you're on record now. You're good when they're filth. Go all in, man.
I'll embrace it.
Be the bad guy for a little bit. You know you're in it for the long haul, so enjoy being a heel for a little bit because heels have more fun.
That's true.
And then when they get like nerfed or people learn how to get good against them, whatever the inevitability is, you get to have your face turned because you were a good guy like elf player all along.
Exactly. Yeah. And faces can't stay champ for long, so I'll just go full heel Hulk Hogan NWO style. Yes. Give me my 9 months in heaven, and then they can beat me into the ground, and I'll just go back to playing for fun. Perfect.
All right. So yeah, like so like they did like, hey, Teclis is coming back. They just, that was like kind of the first thing we got was the Teclis like spoiler art, and then Las Vegas LVO. It feels like it. Looking back on it, all happened very quickly. But I know for a fact when you're the one getting drip fed teasers,
oh yeah,
it's not fast at all. Like
I feel like that first preview was like 4.5 months ago.
Yeah. It's brutal. But so these came out at LVO. We get to see our first essentially 4 units. starting with the Spearmen. So why don't you take us kind of through this? What has you excited? Some expectations you have for this unit.
So my favorite part, first and foremost, is that they're high elves, right? Like you look at those models, and they do have a bit of puffy hair instead of their typical like flowing hair, but they're high elves. They're undoubtedly high elves, which makes me so happy because not that the things that they've done haven't been super cool, because they have, and like the OBR is completely new and unique, and that's awesome. But I wanted there to be high elf influence left, and this is like just sick ass Age of Sigmar high elves. So that's where my biggest source of happiness comes from, is that they're just high elves, and that's awesome. Super long spears look super cool when they're grouped up and in big bricks of units, and they have that awesome shield wall thing that they talked about. So I think that these are going to look super cool on the table in blocks of 10 or 20, 30, maybe even 40.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that. Like I love an army that has like each of the facets of a war game, right? Like they have the front line, they have the fast cav, they have the shooting over the top, and they have magic, and like that's just what I want. I want it all.
Right.
But I also have it all.
Well,
So.
you want to play in all phases of the game is really what I hear you saying. There are people like I love playing in the magic phase of the game, and I'm like, oh, who cares about shooting? Like I don't even want to touch the shooting phase. Like, Haywo loves playing in the charge phase of the game. He calls it the best phase of the game. Like I find that whether it's a chicken or the egg, whether your identity kind of adopts the identity of your army or your army's identity informs what you start to love. I think that there's something to be said for like the phase of the game that you wish to play in and stuff like that.
I love the movement phase. I love like moving out of the movement phase too. That kind of stuff is like my favorite. So a mobile, flexible army, and it's what high elves and elves, wood elves, like they've always been kind of a finesse, I guess you could call it, army, and I'm hoping that part of that gets carried over too.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I foresee is a high damage, like high mobility army with deceptive, like when played right defense, but like punishing when you make the wrong moves. That's just kind of how I foresee it, like, kind of falling into place. Like they mentioned the I think it was the second Lumineth reveal thing. What do they call them? The Lumineth lowdown like little articles. Mm-hmm. I think it was the second one they talked about the spears that they fight heartbeats before combat is joined. I could see them having something along the lines like, look at these are set to take a charge, right?
Yep.
Like I could see them, if they haven't moved, like
fight first on the charge,
right? Or like fight in the charge phase, or like they have inverse evocator rule when you charge them, something like that where if you set it up on the table, you're going to like get this big like punch in the mouth for somebody else. Like I can see it playing out that way because we've been seeing them kind of like play around with the nature of like offense defense with units, I think. And I look at these guys and I go, these guys they're gonna mess you up too. Like Goner, I think we're kind of moving past the days where defensive units don't do anything to you. I just think that those days are kind of gone. Like even Phoenix Guard got that Red 1, which is a big deal, and they wear some pretty good steroids with the Anointed on foot. Like, like I can see these guys like actually like kind of bringing a punch if they take a charge. Who knows? But like the model to me says these guys are set against a charge, and that one teaser about that heartbeat before combat says they're gonna do some stuff in the charge phase.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, thank you so much, Ty, for the 6-month resub.
Oh, look at that.
Thank you so much. And then there's a little sidebar going on here in Chacking that I need to highlight for people that are going to catch this on pure audio. They're talking about how great Beasts of Chaos really are. Joel McGrath there from Measured Wargaming actually beat 2 change host lists and a KO list with Beasts of Chaos at this most recent event down there in Australia. Beat them like they were standing still. Was no contest. Crushed them. You heard it here first. Beasts of Chaos are still legit. Their demise has been grossly over exaggerated. No, it's Beasts of Chaos is an army that like you have to really play the objective game really hard, but you have all the tools to do it. And if you think about the game in terms of like the fighting combat phase, you're gonna play the army wrong. So, just wanted to highlight that real quick. So back to elves though. I kind of back to what you were saying about they look like high elves. Now, that was in the like. There's this concept in design. I'm gonna get it wrong. I think it's 2s and 8s, but I'm gonna call it 2s and 9s because I think it illustrates the point really well. Is you want strong emotional responses from people. You want them to either be 2s or 9s for the most part. You don't want people to be a bunch of like 6s, or 7s. Like you want to trigger a strong emotional response. A lot of these releases, I think, a lot of the new Age of Sigmar releases, new for Age of Sigmar, I think they do that. They very much find the players they're for. People, when they saw these new, like IDK, Idoneth Deepkin, or Daughters, or, Cities of Sigmar Elves, and you kind of saw that the units that were kind of missing from that book, they looked at that stuff and they said, yeah, but those aren't elves. I thought the greatest challenge for Lumineth, we kind of knew we were getting a high elf thing, right? We had that like keeping it hish comment like last year. We knew that some elves were coming. For me, the struggle was going to be something that reads like elves to anyone who hasn't played Warhammer per se. They've read Lord of the Rings, they play Forgotten Realms RPGs, whatever that thing is. People who love elves. Like whatever they're into. When they go from their game or their book or whatever it is their gateway drug is into Age of Sigmar, for them to look at an army and go, those are elves. But then to also, from the Warhammer perspective, go, these aren't just elves, these are our elves. These aren't just reimagined Tolkien elves. That was what I thought was going to be the struggle with these guys. I have my take on where I think they fell, but do you think that they've solved the puzzle with Lumineth?
I do, because my dog just licked in my mouth. Look at the horses. Can we look at the horses?
Yeah, I'll bring up the horses.
Remember how that day that picture came out, the internet freaked out over the fact that the horse's legs are straight?
Oh, yeah, they've
There's your hate.
Yeah. Well, there's the, I got called like Joker skeletons, right? And now people are making the memes about the pimp walk here, the strut. But go on.
So I think these carry over so much of the Reavers that it's like anyone who loved High Elves, I don't know how you couldn't be happy with what these models are, because they look like Reavers that needed to get more armed for battle and said, F these bows, we're going to get some long spears instead of our short ones. Mm-hmm. So, like, they look... You could easily put these models next to Dragon Blades or any of that, like, newest generation of High Elves, and it would look like they belong on the table together.
Right.
So,
right.
I'm all for it.
Well, I really do think they seem very High Elfy. Like, I truly do. And, again, this is from my outsider perspective, so I think I've got a pretty good gauge on what's going on here. The one thing my great disappointment is still talking about cavalry, but before we get to that point, like, look at these helmets. These helmets on both the cavalry and the spearmen, they have that very high elf vibe without being like this super exaggerated, pointy, non-functional silliness. They take that same general footprint and like they add some detail with the way it sort of protects the face. It has that very Magneto vibe. It's got the gem in the center. Really sort of like exaggerated contours to the lines, and then they use that plume to continue that like length for the helmet, and they do it in some really, I think that if you want High Elves, man, like they've nailed it with this. Like the way that the tops of the helmets have this like crest that flows into the plume, like they take out like just it ends in a point. But then they continue that motion. So I think from a sculpture standpoint, like the cavalry, they have this like they swoop back, and then you get the like sort of mane on the top. Like it's just, I mean, even the helmets have movement on these cavalry, man. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. And if you're an elf player, I don't see how you couldn't like this. Now I'm not an elf player, so I have to point out the thing I don't like about it. See, I am disappointed that they didn't give them like sweet ass lions or something huge and awesome to ride instead. So that's my great disappointment. Is that like they're just riding horses? I'm like, well, but they should be like.
Hey, we needed some horses in this game.
And that's the counterpoint I was hoping for, because
there's so much random shit. Like it's time. It's great to have like that just back to reality. there's still some normal shit left, right? Like this is proof that there's still that hope for life.
Right.
And it's not just all crazy stuff flying in from the sky, murdering with lightning and chaos.
Well, yeah, so like I thought like Draco, like the Griff Chargers or whatever would be like a natural, something like a Griff Charger would have been a natural fit for these guys, but I read a sentence actually in, I think it was the article they released today. It was the Speed of Light or whatever is talking about the cavalry. I read a sentence in there, and it just like it all clicked for me in that moment where it said Teclis is like kind of nostalgic as like a feature of his character. It makes sense that he would want things that he identifies as traditionally elven to be around, and you know, elves were famed for their horses, not just like they were awesome horses. No, these were the horses in the realm, right? Like if you had an elven horse, it already was a magical creature essentially, because that's how awesome of a horse you got if it was you got like the elven steeds, right? So like I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I like that. And then what you said there, the perfect counterpoint is like we actually just kind of need some horses. Like there's not, we have so much crazy cavalry, we're like kind of lacking. Just like people who just want traditional awesome cavalry. Like I could see some old school Bretonnian players being like, finally something I can recognize and play with. If they really hate elves, they snip the helmets off, they put their like derpy human heads on, whatever.
Yeah.
I like that. Just the deep frown, almost scowl when I said that. Yeah. So
yeah. So if we go back to the other picture, let's just say, I mean, this one's not a bold prediction by any means, but those are obviously dual kits.
The spears?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're bowmen. I think that's as clear of a thing as they've ever done. They showed the bow in the first picture, or in the preview video. They had the bow on the rumor engine, so like we know there's bowmen.
And they even mention in their like how they fight that they have spearmen with bowmen behind them shooting over them. They kind of mentioned in one of the articles they talked about like their combat stylings.
So we're up to 3 kits.
Okay.
3 kits. We're just, because I'm going to make some predictions, or this would be just boring, right?
Right.
So 3 kits, 2 of which we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
The horses are just going to be them. I'd have to imagine. I don't even think they'll have like a different weapon option. I think they'll just be what they are. Well, but then there was something else that was previewed.
Well, so the cavalry here, they all have like swords already sheathed. Like I've noted, noticed like same thing with the spearmen. They already have their like swords sheathed. I like that they talk about them as if they're like just these little swords that they use to like unstick their spears if they get stuck in something. It's like no, they're ready to fight with those. Those are like two-handed great swords on their back.
Yeah.
So like the swords might just be kind of like included on their profile.
Yeah.
As a sort of like standard across the table. So like I
just don't see them doing like the spears or swords. I think they're moving away from that kind of like because it feels bad, right? If you build 30 of them with spears, or you build 90 of them with spears, you don't want to have to build 90 more with swords. I mean, they want you to because more money, and not everyone's as crazy as me. But I don't. There's not that much of a difference really in the profiles, and I forget if it was whatever was it OBR. They don't have like different weapon options.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, some of them do, but do they all?
Yeah.
Like the guard do too?
Yeah, we get spears or swords.
Maybe I'm just making stuff up.
No, what I don't think you're
Fake
wrong.
news here.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong that they might move away from like spears or swords on like with these again. The spearmen have their swords present on the model already. Like, it's already on there. So I
Yeah.
can see them having... They even mentioned, like, in their sort of how they fight and stuff, that they keep their swords handy to, like, if they have to unstick their spear, or if, like, they break their spear off into something, then they just, like, start fighting with their sword. I think it'd be cool if they actually have both profiles on the... When you take that unit selection. I think that's very Elven, too. That speaks to me to, like, martial prowess. Like, they're so mastered in their, like, combat prowess that they quick draws, like, oh wait, you're, like, we're spearing you because you're charging at us, oh wait, now you're in close combat, they drop the spears, quick draw the swords. It's very Weapon Master style from, like, Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's very cool to me. Like, very...
Yeah, and if they did, like, within 3, they fight with their spears, but if it's an inch, then they fight with their swords. Like, they fully put down their spears to fight with their swords.
Yeah, so I think that's really cool. Like, this is something we don't see a whole lot in terms of the spearmen, where, like, that, what would be the other weapon profile. So I think you're right about that. Their dual kit is actually going to be a bow option with the swords, again, still present. So I think what you're going to see is like, for once you're actually going to get that, like, quote-unquote specialist unit that does the other job admirably. Instead of, like...
because they're high elves and they're
right.
fucking awesome.
Right, exactly. And so I think that's going to happen. Now, what I could see with the cavalry, though, is because, like, I don't see the exact sort of representation, you might get shooting cavalry. Like, you get some bow cavalry or something like that. Calling them the speed of light, I mean, my mounts in Undead are 12-inch movement. I'm guessing you're going to... 14 or, like, run and charge stock standard. You know.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Or something like an always run 6.
Scout move, always run 6. Something, you're going to get something that makes these guys just fast. Right? Like, they're going to be blazing fast, is going to be my idea. Hey, G-Dad, thank you so much for the, extended your tier 1 sub all the way through July. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for continuing to support RantCast and me. So there's another sub record. You set the first one to begin with, Brice.
Nice.
Congratulations on another new one. Longest extension to a sub ever. I got to have you on more often. So like cavalry, like the cavalry, I love cavalry. It's one of those, like, I love Brass Stampede. It doesn't matter what it is. Brass Stampede, Thundercats, obviously I love my Black Knights, the Cavalos Death Riders. These guys are the ones where my brain is just like, the possibilities seem endless right now. That's what I think is great about this like pure speculation and hype mode, is that you just get to, like,
just make up what you want it to be. Yeah,
what you hope for. And as long as you, like, mitigate your hopes, then it won't be bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the cavalry. The blazing fast, the speed. I actually like that they went with the white color scheme for the cavalry here, although I would have went with a different color, like horse itself. But I like these guys. These are very striking. These are sweet models. And the GW photographs always make the models look worse. They're going to be even better in person.
Oh, yeah. And that banner. We should probably just talk about that banner.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there was some shade being thrown around about the banner today. You want to take this one?
Yeah. Do you have the actual picture where you can see it? It probably doesn't matter, right?
I mean, so it looks like equal parts griffin, but with, like, a long, weird, squiggly tail.
It's flaming. It's clearly a flaming tail.
It's a flaming tail.
Come on.
Okay. All right.
Clearly.
All right.
As I said, if I were asked to draw a picture of a dragon phoenix, very quickly, this is what I would draw. That's what it is. It's a dragon phoenix, and it's going to be ridden by Tyrion, and it's coming out with this army.
Oh, see, there's your boldest prediction. So Tyrion is coming with this army. That's your prediction. Because there are people who don't want Tyrion to come with this army.
He's coming. Those people better get their napkins to wipe their tears, because he's coming.
See, I'm fine with them doing Tyrion with this, because I feel like I don't want them...
have to. They have to. He's Teclis's strength. Like they're together. They're not separate. They've talked about him in every preview. Like, they've literally given reference to him in every single preview they've done about how they fight for both, and they take inspiration from both. He's in this army.
Okay. All right. Wipe their tears with the pages of the last High Elf book from 8th. Yeah. I think that'd be cool. You can't release High Elves to me without a dragon. It just...
Dragon or a Phoenix. It can be one or the other. And I'm okay because you know that Malerian is coming with dragons. So, like, if it's some kind of crazy take on a Phoenix and that thing that Teclis is over, give it to me. Like, I think a monster's coming of some sort, and I genuinely don't care what it is because it's going to be absolutely crazy. Like,
Right.
It's going to look different probably than anything we've ever seen, but that's kind of what it should. But I think it will pull from the two things that are very traditionally high elf, which is the Phoenix and the dragon. So
I hope they crank it to 11. I think they will, because, like, I want to talk about the Sphinx a little bit later on. I want to talk about Eltharion real quick, and then we'll talk about the Sphinx. But that Sphinx is cranked to 11 for me. You know, that's me. I hope whatever Dragon Phoenix, whatever it is, just turn it up. Like, have it, just go all in, just make it as elfy as possible. But again, if they're releasing an elf faction and they're like, oh, don't worry, dragons are coming for the other elf faction, I will personally be disappointed, because I always want to fight huge crap, and you're telling me I don't get to fight the elves huge crap?
No, there's gonna be something huge. I just don't want. I'm not comfortable saying it's gonna be a dragon, because I don't think it's gonna be a dragon. It might be a Phoenix dragon, but it's not gonna be just a standard high elf dragon.
Okay. I go either way on it. This army isn't for me. Clearly, they have your house bugged, and they're listening to all your expectations. So, so I hope that's what's going on. But yeah. So we're gonna go on to Eltharion. Now, this is, for me, this is my favorite model that they've teased so far. This is awesome. So Eltharion, if you're not watching, or you can't look at the visuals here, Eltharion would be the full, like, the empty armor set. It's the high elf version of Malik from Legacy of Kain Blood Omen, who's like the paladin who's supposed to defend the castle, and then his punishment is he's stripped of his flesh and blood, and so he's just like an animated suit of magic armor. That is pretty much what, like, the Eltharion model is. His backstory is a little bit different, but I mean, I don't read elf lore, so if you want to tell people what his backstory is.
No, you nailed it.
Yeah, I nailed it. Okay. All right. But this model here, like, if I had a whole army of this, I would be hard pressed not to. So, like, I've gone on record, I won't be buying a new army until I get my vampires down the line. Like, I have a 2-army rule. They are Death and Beasts of Chaos. That's how I cheat, by the way.
Yeah, it's Death.
So, like, until I get, like, my vampire, whatever my reimagining of my vampire is down the line, my Age of Sigmarified vampires, I'm super content. I love my Bone Daddies, and I take a trip to my vacation house every now and then, which is Beasts of Chaos. A little bit of more Slaves to Darkness getting mixed in these days, but it's still one army.
Yeah.
But if they release Lumineth, and it's actually like, no, sorry, like, we were teasing you with those, like, spear horse guys and, like, the spearmen and stuff, you would be, like, probably heartbroken. But then it's a whole army of this. I'd be like, God damn it, now I have to buy a third army, because
it's just this model.
It's just this model, like, 30 times. That's your army. And, like, oh, by the way, like, they did something wonky with perspective here. This looks like it's like a 40 mil base. No. These are, like, actually Gargant.
The 120.
Yeah. Like, these are Chaos Gargant size. Like, be like, hell yeah, sign me up. Like, so this guy is cool. Dual wielding the swords. It's just awesome. Tons of movement. When you look at the model and you begin to see how they actually put it together, it's kind of a marvel of a sculpture too. Like, where they managed to, like, sort of hide the mold lines and the joints.
Yeah.
Like,
it looks like it's like Photoshop, like you can't see the connections.
Yeah.
Like,
they use,
super impressive.
Yeah, they use the cape here in one place. Like, the leg is actually to the base and not to the armor. Yeah, like, it's so cool.
Yeah, so cool.
All right, but here we go. This is the one. This is the one that was, like, actually pretty derisive. So I'd love to hear your take on it.
Oh, give me those pants, baby. I'll wear those pants for a month straight. If someone wants to find me those pants, I will wear them.
I love it. So like, this is for me. This is my like skeleton face moment for Ossiarch Bone Reapers when I was defending their grins and stuff. When everyone's like, I hate the grins, and I'm like, I love it. I love that they're just mocking Sigmar with their animated evil, and like these pants are mocking gravity.
Yeah, yeah. When you're a god, your pants do what you want them to, not what the world wants them to.
So you want to paint us a picture with words, the Teclis model here, and what you love about it, what your hopes, expectations, wish list is.
Let's start from the bottom, right? So we'll start from the base. The base
Right.
is super cool for like a pre-made base on a model. Usually I cut that shit off and base it myself, but this could be something that I keep. They're getting really impressive with what they're doing for bases on their heroes. Like they're making them look like dioramas instead of just the empty base. Like your guy has a pretty sick base.
Yeah, can't even say his name. Yeah, like Catacross has got the like diorama base. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we'll probably continue to see that. Mm-hmm. I would imagine on these heroes because it takes a lot of that away from people who want sweet bases but maybe don't necessarily know how to make them. So that's cool.
It's a real time sink to do, like, to go into basing, and it's this like you think about like as a beginner getting into hobby, like maybe you've like figured out painting, like you're actually a pretty competent painter. You want to just buy an army painted and play it, right? Like when you're getting into the game, you just want to do that, and then suddenly like you're like, oh no, I have to do bases too. And you're like, you just have this, like, basing is an entirely different skill set, almost. And it's this other thing when you're, like, planning an army. Once you get into your second or third army, like, okay, boom, you know what you're going to do with bases going into the army, and you start to teach yourself some tricks and techniques. But, like, I think about, like, doing stuff like this appeases both the novice and the person buying their first army, as well as someone who throws together an army in 3 weeks and wins a favorite army vote. Like,
am I supposed to flex again for that?
Yeah. There's the flex again. Yeah. So you start with
the base is great, and then like let's go beast down, like neck down on the beast.
Neck down on the beast. You want me to zoom in to the neck?
You can do whatever you want.
All right, here we go.
We're talking to the people who aren't watching. So, this beast is freaking cool. It's like, it's a super griffin, right? Like you look at it and you're like, that's a badass griffin. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, it's got this cool necklace. What's this going on? Is it gonna have some armor? And then you scroll up, and the first time I looked at it, I was like, this is stupid. Why would they do this?
Okay.
But then in my head, so what I've started to do with models, when they preview them, is I put them in black and white.
Okay.
Because not that there's anything wrong with the color schemes that they do, but I've never painted anything like box art. I like to kind of see it as a blank palette that I can tackle and do what I want with it.
This is actually
I looked at this model in black and white, I was like, oh my god, this is going to be so freaking cool, because I just don't like the way they put the colors together. Like, I don't think the colors of the horns make sense. And like, when I looked at it then, I was like, this is it. Like, I'm so happy with the way this thing is. I've always been kind of partial to, like, not that it's Egyptian, but like that kind of aesthetic where it's like
the Pan-Asian, I think is a good way to put it.
So to have that included, it literally was like, they know the things I want and like, and they just put them together. And I never knew I wanted this, but now I do.
Well, it almost feels like at some point when Games Workshop releases that army that's like so much for you, it feels like they're in your head. Like it really does. Like with Catacross, for instance, for me, I had to defend his static pose, and I'm like, you don't understand. a guy who is this thoroughly in control of everything does just stand there and survey the field, looking off to the left and not even at your models, you know, like, 'cause he's so, and, like, it's like that, where, like, they're in your head so much, and you're like, exactly, like, I thought I wanted this other thing, but no, I really did just want fucking the statue Dave, like, the statue David just standing there, like, posing, like, you're right, I did want, so this is, what's cool for this is, I think it kind of, it's one of those models, and we're just still talking about the Sphinx here, that captures the, like, the elven vibe and just sort of, like, crystallizes it into form. Like, you have this wisdom, like, thought form, essentially, creature. Like, what are, you know, the Sphinx is the iconic thing, answer the riddle, get through type thing. It's just...
And this is your turned up to 11. Like,
yeah.
We didn't just want basic, right? This is where, love it or hate it, this is turned up. Like Frank said, like, that mask in Jade would look so freaking cool with, like, pure light coming from its eyes.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Yeah, and it does actually look like a mask. That this...
Oh yeah, it's a mask.
So it's
gotta be a mask.
That's crazy. And once more, like, we haven't seen this in 3 dimensions yet, and I almost guarantee a lot of the criticisms that people do have for the model, once they see it in 3 dimensions spun around the table, the thing that everyone's gravitating towards is, of course, Teclis's pose. I think is what most people are, Teclis himself. I think once they see it on the model, once they see the height and the sort of asymmetry of it, I think they're going to really appreciate it, because the way I think the eye is drawn across the model pretty naturally. But again, it wasn't made for me. They weren't in my head. So I guess this is the part where I pan over and then I show Teclis.
Yeah, and this is where it's really important to look in black and white, because that face, no thank you. But it just, like, I think that's what people, like, the pants, I joke about the pants all the time because they're fucking disco pants, and that's awesome. But, like, I think the face is the biggest complaint. That's how the face is painted. You're gonna paint the model, they're not gonna paint the model. Like, it just, the color of the face, and it's hard to tell, like, if it has, like, a hood around, or he has a hood around under his helmet, or what's going on. And just trust me, if you're on the fence, turn this black and white and look at it, and then come talk to me.
Well, see, this is a great tip, I think, for, like, you're getting a bunch of, like, shameless elf hype, but also this is a good hobby tip, like, for finding your paint schemes. We can't all, like, AutoCAD draw out our like paint scheme, but if you just take the stock photo, turn it black and white, you're gonna actually be able to, like, write in, you know, red, black, and just take a little base paint, paint program, and then just, like, click and, like, just see what it looks like then. I think that's actually great for just planning. Even if you just write, like, an R for red and you start to, like, kind of visualize it, turn it black and white and then think about it. I fucking love his headdress, by the way. This is, I know this is a dumb thing to gravitate towards. And hello as well, Scully there. I like the super deep crescent. I think that's awesome. They mentioned that they have power over the zenith or whatever, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. and so, like, I don't know really what that means, but, like, it probably has something to do with this awesome crescent on his head. You know, they've got the runes, like, all throughout a lot of the models too, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Sorry, dwarves. One of their articles basically said that the elves have figured out runes too, so I don't know if there's going to be a rune mechanic for them. but I actually dig the model. I actually like the sort of, like, the like Pan-Asian sorcerer vibe I get from the pants and the flowing, like, like they could have just put this model in a robe, right? Which is what they are wont to do with wizards. They gave it a lot more form by putting it in this, like, sort of the pants and the sort of shawl, the puffy sleeve shirt. They give him the gloves and the boots, which are very elfin. Like, I think I actually kind of like the model. Yeah, he's doing the T pose. He's jumping off a trampoline. Get your memes in, by the way, because it's fun to be dank and memey about it.
You know, it's super easy adjusting the angle of arms when you build a model. It's a crazy thought, I know, but it's literally just turning shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he has his sword and his staff. Like, I think that's super cool. Like, they could have done this huge Teclis, and that would have been lame.
Man,
But
well, shots fired at
Teclis
me. I'm like, I just want
isn't a big fighter dude. He's a full of knowledge. He's a mage. He doesn't even fight. Like, he has to turn into his other form to fight, and that's not going to happen. Like, the whole thing with how they've taken Teclis is he's supposed to be blind, I thought, but like he needs Tyrion to fight while he's there for the knowledge to try to make this perfect race, which we're looking at.
Yeah, see, I think, like I said, shots fired at me because my Teclis expectation, bold prediction, was he's just going to be like a light counterpoint to Nagash. I thought that would be sweet. If he was this ensorcelled, floating wizard shooting laser beams from his eyes.
Yeah, I like that, but not like him physically big. Like, if he were like Celestin Prime, like in a swirl, like stuff like that, sure. But I just meant like he doesn't need to be an avatar of himself because that wouldn't make sense to me.
He scales himself down. Like, his whole thing is that he doesn't, like, he's not a walking giant amongst his people because he thinks his people are perfect. So he's going to naturally be a mirror for them, a parallel for them. He's not going to be this extreme version. He's already made the extreme version the way that because he made them that way. Yeah. No, legit. I think that's a good sort of counterpoint to some of the debate. And obviously, like, art's got elements of subjectivity to it. I'd say there's some objective qualities to art too. You know, what colors look good together. We have color theory for a reason. Like, there are rules too. But like sculpts, these are so clearly made for, I think, people who just, well, they wanted pointy elves. The video said it. Like, I would say, because of grief, I think the head doesn't match the body, but the rest is okay. Well,
on the bird or on Teclis?
On Teclis, it's about the paint job. On the bird, I think they're going to come with an alternate head, which is what Ty actually said in chat there. So to piggyback,
I actually will be shocked if that's true.
You'll be shocked if that's true, really?
Yeah, I think that this is one of a kind, and it will have a true story behind the mask. And like, I would be more shocked than if Tyrion actually comes if this thing has an alternate.
Okay, all right, bold prediction. We'll put a pin in it. We'll see. I could see them having a different one, but like you said, they put the mask there for a reason. It's just a focus point. I think that your eye is, I think that there's a natural, like, sort of your face is like drawn kind of over the model naturally because there is enough, like, it's asymmetrical and it's got a diagonal composition. And so I think that it just causes the eye to move around it. And their paint job, I think, is the ultimate failure here. Because I don't think it lends itself to the motion. It's very tan. The whole thing is very tan. And even
his cloak should not be tan.
Even the blue is a muted, like, powder blue, which doesn't play with like the deeper orange tone that they go for over here. Like, it's very again, if you see this model from a different angle too, like, that's the other thing is, like, I almost guarantee this thing's gonna look just like really kind of cool and sort of oblong and interesting on the table. I'm not here to switch anyone's opinion to, like, suddenly like elves, because again, it's 2s and 9s.
I am.
You are? Fair enough. This is like the me where I'm like, let me tell you why OCR Bone Reapers are the best and how you're wrong. Like, and then, like, you're doing that with elves. I love it.
I'll take Ty's bet. That's easy money there.
Easy money. Brice, head bet. If no alternate, you choose my next conversion. If alternate head, I choose your next conversion. I like this bet. You heard it here in chat, gang. Again, you said you weren't taking challenges tonight, Brice.
That's not a challenge. That's what we call easy money, man. There is no alternate head on it. Like, it's clearly I forget exactly what it said, but like, it's this truly majestic beast. There's not gonna be different versions. It's him. It's Teclis's boy. Like, I will bet that all night.
That's fantastic. So where do you want to go? What do you want to talk about next, Brice? I've got an idea if you don't, but
so I'd like to. Do you have my Twitter up by chance?
I can get it up real quick.
Because there's two predictions that need to be made off of that.
Okay. Go ahead and pull up your Twitter here real quick, which is @MooseGeek _ on the end there. So your first bold prediction is that Otter's playing like Kenny G.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that was awesome.
All right.
If anyone knows me, they know if you put a cute animal, like I'm like very easily distracted by those kind of things. So those two right there, if you click on them, you can actually see. I forgot. I was at work trying to work, and then I kept like zooming in on the picture. So you can do the bottom one first, because that's the one I don't really know.
All right, so we got this. These just arrows pointing up at something.
Like there's clearly something there, right? There's a rock.
Isn't that Eltharion? That looks a lot like Eltharion.
It's so big.
Yeah, he's gonna be huge. I'm telling you.
Okay, pull him up. Can you put him side by side?
Yeah, I'll pull out. It's not gonna. Sorry.
No, it's too. There's no way.
Sorry.
Look at the leg. Look at the leg and how there's no.
No.
Hanging down thing.
Okay, so there's like no hanging down thing.
Yeah,
like there's like a little tie around. There's like a little
tie
around the thing there.
So my initial thought was that's some form of. I can't say this word very well. Artillery.
Artillery.
Yep.
Okay.
Piece.
Could be artillery.
I'm not certain. It kind of what it looks like is a Tree Lord Ancient.
It could be we're getting Age of Sigmar like wraiths.
Yeah.
Like the Eldar wraiths, right? Like you could be getting those.
Yeah.
It could just be that they're fighting Skaven, and this is a freaking like.
But it's white. It's white like their armor.
Okay. But don't they look like they're kind of heading toward it though?
Like they're running alongside it, because if you look at the next picture.
Okay. All right. So the next picture.
On that same level.
Oh.
In the back of the battle. There's what is very clearly the base of an Archmage. Like you can see the rim color matches the rim color of the horses, and like it's built up, and there's like magical glowy stuff, and then it's perfectly cut off.
By the way, magical glowy stuff is the technical term for what's going on here.
Yeah. So like that's an Archmage for sure, or whatever it's gonna be. But that, for me, there's no question on that one. You can even see like the rock has the rune in it, and his foot's gonna be up, or her foot's gonna be up on it, or like it'll swirl up like the other model. In the comments I posted the picture of like the reference point that I think it's gonna be kind of made after.
Okay, so this is like when we got some of our stuff when they showed the army wide shot. Like we got little snippets of Ossiarch Bone Reaper stuff like kind of throughout, and we're like, oh, this is that. I think that's how we saw the Walker Chairman the first time. The Soul Mason. That's how when we saw him first was just kind of in the background. So you got a little bit of that. Like clearly you're gonna have some sort of support mage. Here. Yeah. No AOS coach. This is not the normal time for RantCast. We had to go early on account of Brice's schedule, but we wanted to get the elf hype in before they release it, because this is when it's fun. Is when it's shameless when it's shameless like hype and enjoyment and pure speculation before it comes out, and then there are rules, and then just people are like angry at the new thing. I want to go back to that initial picture that you shared earlier today. Man, I see. It's wishful thinking because I want it to be Eltharion. I want it to just be that big.
It's not, man.
Because that's not the cloak there.
No, because he's got the stringy things.
The stringy things. I see the stringy thing as well. Yeah, I don't know, man. Could be.
And then there's like if you look in the middle, there's like a thing that's hanging down. It's
like a dongle,
piece of green cloth or something.
Or that's the background, the background wall.
It could be, But that gives me hope that it's something huge.
Right, as long as it's something huge. I mean, that's really what we need. Just the biggest thing imaginable. Yeah, I'm for it. And then dank corgi memes. So
those are the things that we can see. The things that we can't see, at least not yet. I think there has to be a Swordmaster White Lion type unit. Like there has to be that elite fighter.
Oh yeah, you got to have your Blundermen unit, something like that, right?
Yeah.
It comes in units of 3s, or I mean, your elves, so you can do 5s and 10s a lot too for your like elite dudes. I think that's fine because you tend not to have multi-wound models.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this is they've already shown that they've figured it out. Like I said kind of earlier on here, I think the great struggle is having something that reads like elves for anybody who doesn't play Warhammer, who's reads Lord of the Rings, whatever their version of elf is. It just goes, hey, that's an elf. But then you're still going, no, this is Age of Sigmar. I think they've struck that balance, and so I only have hope that like they're gonna have more kits. So we're probably getting archers with the spearmen. That's gonna be the same box, right? Cavalry, whatever the cavalry do. Maybe they're just spear guys. Fine, cool. So that's 2 boxes. You've got your leader man, and then you've got a support melee hero essentially with Eltharion. So that's only 4 units so far. There's 17 in Bone Reapers. Like, we don't even talk about the soup books, but usually around 17 to 20 or 15 to 20 is usually about how many units you can expect in your book with like named heroes and stuff. So
I think Bone Reapers is the perfect thing to compare it to. Like, you can't go back and compare it to Deepkin or Daughters, I don't think, because those, I think that they've learned a lot from those. And in 2 years is enough time that's passed now that like the changes from Deepkin and how limited it is in model choice. I think that they see that and part of it's maybe me, but I hear it all the time, like that army lacks diversity, and it could be so much more if it just had 3 or 4 more units.
Well,
and
if
I
they
don't
fix
think
Namarti, it would be more. Like if they just fix Namarti, they would fix IDK in terms of that mono build single model looking army.
yes and no, I guess, but you still only have 4 choices of units, like as far as non, I guess sharks are in there too, but like I don't know, it feels limited. But then when you look at OBR, it's like there's so many options. You can build so many different lists.
Well,
You can do all this stuff.
even
And
within Petrifex Elite, you can still like my Petrifex Elite army versus yours is different because like we're seeing people bring stalkers now. Finally, like people are finally busting out their stalkers. How many Mortec guard you go with? How many ponies? Like what your leaders are? Like how you like tune up? Like we're starting to see some very varied lists. I think you're right about them learning the lesson. I do think it's important to have quality battle line for an army to just be good. It's such the exception that an army is good when it doesn't have quality battle line than the rule. You know, like for the most part, if you've got great battle line, and that can mean if it's a battle line if thing where you like are able to bring that in as your battle line, but like that just seems to be the way Age of Sigmar goes. If your spearmen are great and your archers are great, if you have a battle line if option for the cavalry, or the cavalry are your other battle line, and maybe the archers aren't, maybe that's how they don't. You don't see a mono build if like your spearmen and your archers aren't the same battle line slot, like the way like reavers and thralls are, right? Like you might see a little bit more variance that way. Like I don't know what the puzzle is. People smarter than me are thinking about it right now, but they seem to have figured it out. And I think that good battle line is the way to go, and I think they've shown us their battle line already with the spearmen and the cavalry, potentially archers in there somewhere, right? So.
yeah, it feels like there's for sure going to be one more, and it probably will be archers, but I would like to see it be something different. But I guess I don't really know what the different thing could be. I keep trying to look at Deepkin, right? Because Deepkin are his first creation that he messed up.
He didn't. He failed to. He failed to make them good battle line, and
yeah. Well, no, people are always like, he's such a bad guy. He made these Deepkin and then he just abandoned them. Oh, he could have decimated them and destroyed the race. He let them live to go on and eat the souls. But you know what? he could have killed them all.
Yeah,
guys. And gals.
Yeah, my dad, when he abandoned me before I was born, he could have came back and just like squashed me like a bug. But instead, he let me grow up to drink spirits instead of souls and try to kill myself.
Yeah, he you know what? No one's perfect in the world, and if one mistake is made in ripping souls out of this terrible Slaneshi douchebag, then you know what? I can forgive him. He's still trying.
I actually love the like edgelord IDK memes that have been coming out. Like, have you seen some of these comics where "Ooh, Dad's back"? Like, I was we were doing like absentee father like jokes about like how Teclis comes back and he's like the cool he's the cool stepdad, like, or he's the cool absentee dad. He comes back, he's like, hey man, does Mathland still talk about me? Like, it's just like. Isn't it cool how I took you to Disneyland that one time? You're like, that wasn't me, Dad. Like, oh man, oh yeah. No, I actually, I don't have any skin in the game in terms of the Teclis and IDK fight. Like, I really don't. Like, it's fun to meme on though.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I mean, everyone else is wrong. Teclis is clearly the hero this world needs.
Own it. Yes. That's what you got to do. There you go. Thank you.
But being a good person like Teclis, I let people make their argument and then shit all over it.
There
afterwards.
You go. Perfect. Exactly. I love it. I love where your head's at. So I guess we can go a little bit into Speculationsville because we haven't seen any rules yet. We're talking about models, so let's stay talking about models, and we'll maybe talk about some rule speculation, hopes, dreams, etc. What models would you like to see? You mentioned like White Lions. We want a huge thing, obviously. Like, but what is the best case scenario? Do you think?
The best case scenario is a new Phoenix and
a new Phoenix and a
together.
New what? A new Phoenix
dragon
and a dragon. Okay.
I don't need that. Like, if they are going away from that, I'm fine with that. But I do like, and this is just my personal play preference and list building preference. I want another huge thing. Like, I want a monster. I want Teclis with his sick ass bird Sphinx, and I want a monster alongside it. Like, I think anyone that looks back on the list I like to play, there's always a Phoenix, a dragon, 3 Phoenixes, 3 dragons, whatever. Like, I like that. So for me personally, I want to still have that option. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I would love to see and I keep saying Phoenix Dragon, but something that's like, and I say that because I don't even know what that looks like in my head, but I want something that is so crazy and unique to this that it's like, holy shit, like, I never would have guessed that that's the thing. Mm-hmm. And, the first time we talked about it, I said like a cloud dragon or something. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but I want it to be something where everyone's like, holy fuck, what is going on?
I'm actually hoping that they continue to play on the sort of blended like Euro Asian thing that they've got going on, because they've got like some stuff that has a very distinct like sort of Euro vibe with like some of the helmets and stuff like that. But like with the pants and some of the iconography, it goes more towards like the Pan Asian. I hope that they do that with a dragon. It could be a phoenix, whatever it is, right? Like big monster thing, whatever it is. I hope that they draw on that sort of like serpentine dragon vibe from like more of the Eastern style. Give it some wings though, to give it that more Euro, to incorporate the two. So like this serpentine winged like thing that like kind of has like that has like this more enlarged body with the lengthened tail. Just give it this imposing sort of looming stature that kind of like is arching up, and really play with like some negative space with it by giving that serpentine body and having it like kind of coil and move in ways. I think that would be really cool to see. What I say dragon, but I'm using dragon as like just a quotation marks. Like, yeah. Whatever it is, they need some sort of a monster. I don't see them getting a Monster Mash list on purpose. I think there might be an accidental one, because who knows. But I don't see them getting like being Flesh Eater Courts. For Flesh Eater Courts is Monster Mash. 2 dragons, 3 dragons tend to be like the way you see those lists build. But like having your Teclis and a dragon, I think that's a nice little build. And I see a little bit of that. They're not going to get the 6 monster build battalion thing. Like we're not. No. We're not going to see something like that for this army. Because we have Gargants coming, and Gargants are going to be your 6 monster army, right? Like. Yeah. It's not the best way to run it, but you can do it. Same thing with Flesh Eater Courts and Gristlegore, right? Like, you can do it if you want. Yeah, take it easy, coach. I hope they get a monster. I would love to see them also get, like, some sort of, like, big thing that is beside a monster. That's where, like, Wraith. I hear people talking about like a Wraith or something like that, like an Eldar style thing. And I'm like, I don't know if you need to go full Eldar with it. I don't know how much help Age of Sigmar needs from like channeling 40k. I don't think it needs that much at all. It seems to stand just fine on its own legs. But like some sort of like how do you get elven Blundermen, right? Like how do you get that, like, you know, you buy 3 bodies instead of 5 or 10 sort of vibe, but with elves. That's a puzzle I think they can solve. That's what I would like to see, is them solve that puzzle. Some 3 by, 3, 6, 9 style unit. You know, eels are in IDK. You've got your Bulgors. You've got your Necropolis Stalkers. You've got these guys who are just, in 3 packs. I would love to see something like that for elves.
I think it's chariots.
Chariots could be.
Yeah, I don't think I would be very surprised if there's something that isn't like not traditional elves, but that completely breaks away from something we've seen from elves before.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would be surprised if there was like an Avatar of Cain style thing.
Okay.
Like that's not high elfin, and
Okay.
like I think with what they've shown, they keep drawing from things that Teclis has had and knows, and
because he's nostalgic. Dear. Yeah, he's nostalgic. Yeah,
so I would be surprised. I if there was anything other than like something that fits a mold but isn't that, like I could see a new Skycutter chariot being a thing.
Okay.
Like something like that as that next bigger piece in your army that is
that
is
medium
cool.
piece is kind of what I'm talking about. Is that like in between? Sometimes it's a 3-pack of stuff. A chariot's a really good example. I mean, White Lion chariots are still one of the fan favorites of all time, right? And
I'm still holding on to hope that there's going to be a lion, and I think it'll be a hero. I think it'll be these horsey boys definitely need a brave, bold knight to ride into battle with them. They're not going to run out their leaderless, so they need someone on a mount.
I would love to see them make, so we have like Trampoline Teclis. I would love to see like Surf Bro White Lion, where he's like surfing out on a white lion with a huge axe, and like so you get to do your like sort of high elf White Lion style character as a hero, and just really lean into that as a hero.
Or on a bird.
Fine, whatever it is. They should probably. I mean, if they're going to be, top tier competitive, they're going to have to answer chaff, right? So that could come in the form of their archery. That could come in the form of like flight, or multiple activations to bust through chaff. Like, so there are ways that they solve with it. They deal with it. They're going to have to deal with it in some way. We haven't seen anything that really flies yet, right?
Yeah.
So
I could really see that. Like, I think they're also kind of showing like they're fine with kind of taking the traditional high elf feel from like the Lord of the Rings or typical of high fantasy.
Yeah.
And like great eagles are our thing in all of those, right? Like that's a very common thing for the elves to have.
Yeah.
In some, or whether it's a hawk or whatever, but like a giant bird.
Yeah.
I think that there will be something along those lines.
Mounted or unmounted, do you think?
I think mounted. Okay. I'd be surprised if it was unmounted.
Okay. See, that would be a fun little like point counterpoint, is if you got your like ground cavalry, like 5 blocks and 10 blocks, and then you've got these like solo or like small unit, bought in single units can kind of like gyrocopters.
Yeah.
Something like that with like bird riders or something. That could be really cool.
Yeah.
And I think you could do a lot with the design of that, because we're not so stagnant with our flying models anymore, where they're just in one flat shape. You could really play with those. I think that'd be really cool, just from a sculptural design standpoint.
For sure.
Is there anything else on your sculpture prediction and or wish list?
Spells. Endless spells.
Endless spells.
There has to be, right? Like okay. He's the next level Nagash.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, I would say, until
he just accepted me saying that.
No, I already said like I wanted him to be just good Nagash. What do you want from me? Like, there was a time when my friend Sam, my best friend growing up, he played High Elves, I played Undead, right? Like, so I always had we had a playful camaraderie / rivalry on the table. His army was a quote unquote better spellcasting army than mine. in those days. I mean, High Elves could actually pick up a piece of terrain and, like, this is on you now. Like, they had some bullshit spells. Like, but as, like, as the early Warhammer Fantasy battle, like, refined itself, Undead got really big boy magic. And, like, by the time the end times happened, like, death is, you know, it's like four armies are, like, the best spellcasters. Seraphon, Tzeentch, Death, and High Elves. Those are the four best. And they should all have sort of, like, think of it like you have, like, a, you know, like, the three bars on a graph, and all of them, you can only have 10 points to spend between all three, you know? Yeah. And you try to, like, equalize it out, and, like, maybe the most equalized has usually been Death with, like, 1 extra point in like debuffs. Well, like, usually, like, it's gone back and forth where everything wins, but usually, like, High Elves have had just, like, maxed out 1 bar and, like, down into others type thing. like I think that's a cool way of doing it. Right now it seems like Tzeentch is really has pushed the boundaries of what we've known the spell phase to be even previously. In terms of on the table, but lore-wise, it's usually it's High Elf, Tzeentch, Seraphon, Death, and Nagash specifically. Once he went around and he consumed the Death Wind, he ate all the Death Gods. Like, around that time, you go, no, I wasn't personally, as a Nagash fan, willing to accept him on the level of High Elves before. Now I accept them on Nagash's level, if that makes sense. Like.
Fair.
The mortal realms have, like, I used to have to feel like I was the underdog with my friend Sam as, like, in the spellcasting, and now I'm like, no. Like, now you listen to me. Like, now you're at my table. Like, and that's how I feel about Nagash's and High Elves. So I think that they should certainly be to the power of, like, Nagash. I think Teclis should basically be, whatever his spell points come out to be, he should just be the Nagash without spell cost, and then a little bit better. But have no combat. Like, that's just...
Yeah.
Like, I like...
He's got a bird to fight for him.
If he's a 500-point spellcaster, make him a 5-casting, auto-resolves a spell a turn, or auto-resolves his spells on doubles, can't be unbound... Whatever bullshit. Just give him bullshit spellcasting within his point. Like, Nagash, cast 8 spell a turn at +3. Like, okay. Like, he costs 900 points. Perfect. He gets to chain arcane bolts. Like... And he knows all the lore spells from his army. Like, that's about as pushed as a spellcaster can be for 900 points, right? Do the equivalent with Teclis wherever his points are, and then whenever you're like, oh, this is too pushed, just take away from his combat profile, and then go one more. Like, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. You do that. That's what I want Teclis to be, and I'm willing to curb my shameless homerism for Nagash for a little bit, because if you're doing Teclis, I don't want you to dick around with making crappy gods. Make them awesome, because everybody should get to feel as awesome as I feel when I play Nagash. That's my whole thing. When I push Nagash around on the table, I feel like I'm pushing around a 900-point death god. You should feel like you're pushing around a 500-point wizard god or 600-point wizard god, or whatever they're at. You know, that's the feeling of Alarielle. She doesn't feel like a 600-point life goddess. She doesn't. And she's supposed to be in her combat form. She doesn't even feel like that. Like, you can... It's one model. Like, as soon as Godric came out, I'm just like, they know how to make single models now. Because they realize that you just need to make them pushed, because being a single model will always be a huge downside.
Yeah.
Like... Especially if you have a small base, because then I don't even need to. If you're on a 6-inch scoring objective and you don't have a 6-inch base, I'm just outside of 4 inches with 10 skinks. I get to score it. Like, you know, like I don't care. Like, do whatever it takes. Make them bonkers. But just put their points. That means you can point them aggressively. Just make them live within that points, though. You know, like, just really tune it. And so I'm hoping Teclis is like 400 points or 500 points of just as push to shit wizard. That's my hope as a total outsider.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. And then whatever Teclis is in spellcasting, I want Tyrion to be that. I want him to be a Terrorgeist. Like, I want, if Tyrion's coming with this army, I want him to be a Terrorgeist. I want him to be I want him to be Gotrek on a dragon. Like, okay, maybe not like
I'm for that.
Maybe not like full. You don't go full Gotrek if you get a dragon, but like half Gotrek on top of a dragon.
Yeah, or full Gotrek on top of a zombie dragon.
Yeah,
I see no problem.
Yeah. No, again, whatever your god character is, they should feel like it. Catacross, for instance, he's 500 points of just pure utility, and he feels like it. He's not going to overwhelm you in combat, but you're not going to be able to beat him with like your worst battle line option, right? Like he's going to kill that, and that feels nice for a 500 point utility piece. So I just, you can be really aggressive with the stuff you can put on a war scroll as long as you just put the points around that, like, this is a god, so it should be pointed as a god. You know, that's the thing about, like, Gorgon, or Cygor, for instance. I wish Cygor were pointed at 360 points, but had 360 points worth of shit on the scroll.
Yeah.
Like, rather than having it race to the bottom. So what I'm saying is start high and give it aggressive points, because you can always adjust them. So.
I agree.
So we're there. Alright, so I guess that brings us to rules speculation now. Like rules. So let's get let's address the elephant in the room. It seems like they implied some activation wars are for this army. I feel like we got a little bit of a break from the activation wars now. You know, Tzeentch aren't really playing around with it. KO aren't really playing around with it. OBR didn't play around with it. Slaves to Darkness might have a couple options because it's such a big tome, and they've got they can pull in endless options from other people's armies or vice versa. It looks like you're getting activation wars. This strike within a heartbeat stuff from one of the Lumineth lines. It was on Lumineth Lowdown too. Spears of the Phalanxes. Heartbeats before combat is joined. The sun metal tips of the Warden's spears flare into life with the solar energies they have absorbed, tearing through armor, flesh, and bone as their Wardens skewer their would-be attackers with thrusts of lethal precision. So this to me says charge phase chicanery. I think that's what I kind of see going on here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a charge phase thing. I would be surprised if it was actually just an activation war, like a strike first in combat, strike last in combat type of a thing.
Okay.
I think it's a different phase than the combat phase, and the charge phase makes sense. Movement phase, maybe a counter charge type of thing like that.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a start a combat, end a combat thing. I think that, or I hope my hope is that like it's not, because I like when they do new things, like they introduce a completely new mechanic, like whatever your points are called with OBR and stuff like that. Like I like that.
Points. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I don't want them to just be like, oh well, here we go. Always strike first type of thing. So I hope it's something completely new and unique and a different phase. And maybe it's in the magic phase.
Oh, see, if you're locked in the hero phase / magic phase with them, like
the spell is cast within whatever distance, because it says like absorbs, right? So maybe it's something to do with that.
Ooh, see, there's some great synergy. If like they actually combo off of like spell casting with their like this ability as a synergy ability with their combat casting, that would be really sweet. Because now your like combat utility pieces, every time they cast a spell, your melee unit that's locked in is getting some steroid or buff to like do some killing at the end of hero phase or something. That's some really cool design space. I would be so for that. Because like you said, I want to see new mechanics. Like provided they make sense for the army, that you know they play around with like what we know is like the game. Like I would love to see that. That would be, I mean, you kill two birds with one stone with something like that, because you're designing an army that's like should have great spell casting, and you want to build the good spell casting in the list. But if they attach the steroid on the combat unit itself without making you need some of those casters, you're kind of gonna just like avoid that. Like that's some really cool design space. But this is the closest thing I think to an inkling of a rule that we've gotten. They talk about they fight as a phalanx. That to me just means they're going to be defensive, and they're going to have a good potential for offense with how they've got both weapon profiles on the sculpt already, and they talk about this. You know, they talk about constantly their martial prowess and stuff. The thing is every book ever is written as propaganda for your army, so you have to take that stuff with a grain of salt. But I mean, I think we're going to see the standard sword. We're going to see at least the standard sword master type profile, right? 3s and 3s, run 1, damage 1, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
With some. Go ahead.
I think that this could be one of the first like 10-man wizard dudes. Like I could see them doing a battle line of or like a unit of mages.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, for lack of better term, like
Sisters
arcane trickster.
Arcane tricksters are the shit. Well, like actually, come to think of it, going back to the picture of the spearman, the sort of center command unit pointing out his sword, he looks like he's carrying some sort of lantern in his other hand.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a lantern in his other hand, and he's pointing the sword forward. Shields on the back. Is that Lore Masters? Lore Masters got squatted basically, like they were in the quote unquote handful of models. Lore Masters were like the classic like melee mancer. They fight you with a sword and spells. Like they've got the orb in one hand and a sword in the other, right? Mm-hmm. This model, now that I'm looking at it, kind of looks like a throwback to the old Lore Master. So like maybe your hero in the Spearman is a Lore Master. How fucking metal would that be? Your unit champions in Lumineth are freaking spellcasters? And so, like, you know how you normally protect the special weapon? What if the special weapon is a goddamn spell? Like, how awesome would that be?
Yeah, that's... I think there's potential for that. Like, it's, you know, it's Teclis, man. He loves magic.
Man, like I could almost sell myself on the army because I love wizards. Like, oh yeah, your unit champions are they're wizards. You know, like I get a little a guy who projects command points. Awesome, cool. Like, you know, my old armies get 1 extra attack on their leader guy. You get a wizard. Come on, like it's the most elf thing ever. It would be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for that. Plus, again, I loved that's one of my favorite models was always the Lore Master. Like talking about like they were talking about the Age of Sigmar RPG coming out with Cubicle 7. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, I hope Lore Masters are in it. And we haven't seen the full list of classes, and we don't. I don't remember when that's coming out. But as soon as they pulled the Lore Master models in that quote unquote handful of models debacle for leading up to Cities of Sigmar, I'm like, Lore Master's out too. And so like I got a little disappointed. It would be really cool to see. To have my hopes restored with some sort of like Lore Master representation in the High Elves, because they're such a classic High Elf thing to me.
Oh yeah, and I have 6 or 7 of those models.
And you have 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, activation wars. So you don't think it's going to be just straight always strikes first, always strikes last type chicanery?
No. That would really surprise me. I could see a new mechanic. I could see something, but I don't think it's just that simple as always strikes first.
Okay, cool. Making breakfast for supper, have an ice cold pint is a strange feeling. I love breakfast for dinner. It's one of my favorite meals, but also enjoyable. Like I'm on holiday. I think I just read someone in chat, gang. I read a bunch of words, but all I saw was the message, I'm living my best life right now. Good on you, Buckets.
Anytime you're eating pancakes, you're living your best life. Let's be honest.
I agree. Yeah, I think spellcasting, they need to do something with their spellcasting to be like pretty cool, to be pretty classically high elf. That could just mean powerful lores and just a predominance of casters throughout the army. They don't
bunch of 2 spells.
Yeah, two spell character models or a bunch of bonuses to cast throughout in some way. You know what they did with Hallowheart was actually kind of interesting in that basically their rule says they're going to resolve their spells, and every wizard is just double efficiency.
Yeah.
With Hallowheart. What they did with endless spells was pretty cool too, because that's just like an easy mechanic that changed stuff. I think Slaves to Darkness, what they did with their sort of quote unquote Tzeentch subfaction, what are they, the Kabbalists, where they could like stab a dude and like move an endless spell again. That was like a really cool playing with the existing mechanics of the game and already being interesting. You don't have to do a whole lot is the point to make magic feel impactful within an army. You don't have to rewrite the rules of Magic to make Magic awesome. You just have to have it there and have the rules good. And so that's what I'm saying for Teclis' elves. They should have spells and they should be good. I know it's stating the obvious, but how often do we have an army not get the obvious good thing? So it's a 100% brand new army. They're not going to be bad. Spoiler. They're not going to be bad. And a lot of people want to play elves, so like people are going to play elves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be good. They're going to be good for sure.
Any rules predictions, wish listing? Is there something you want?
I want movement stuff. I want like the shoot and move, double move, like move out of combat, those kind of things.
Okay.
Like anything with movement. Truthfully, and I say this like I genuinely do not care. Like I don't care what the rules are. If the models make me happy, that's what's gonna make me happy. And so far they're 4 for 4. So
awesome.
The rules are the rules, right? Like you're gonna find something to play. If you're drawn to the models, it's not gonna matter what the rules are.
Right.
And that's really how I feel. So they're gonna have good things. There's no doubt. I would love to have, like I said earlier, like every phase have something to do.
Okay.
Because a lot of armies I've played skip phases, and I don't like to not do anything in a phase. And so far it feels like every phase, as long as there's archers, every phase you're going to be doing something.
Ty's throwing a little shade at you. He says Brice plays most games with a rules optional approach, just like D&D. Ask him about his lightning cantrips. Brice, how about your lightning cantrips?
Yeah, I believe in narrative, guys. So I have a dragon born sorcerer, and I'm a blue dragon.
Okay.
And the backstory of my character is that my temple was burnt down by some Tiamat worshipping bastard, and I absolutely hate fire. So instead of using Firebolt, I asked Ty, would it be okay if I changed it to Lightning Bolt? And he said, well, you can't do Lightning Bolt because that's a spell. So then I named it Spark Bolt, and it does lightning damage instead of fire damage. And I haven't cast a single spell that is anything other than lightning or arcane damage. So, and I won't learn the spell Fireball. That's how committed to my narrative I am.
Static Bolt, Zap Bolt. Look at Frank just throwing these out there. In Avernus, where almost every CR is based on fire resistance. He's a monster.
Did not know that.
Yeah, but then he just takes a feat anyway and ignores fire resistance. What's wrong with
That's
it?
true.
Frank.
Thank you, Frank.
Frank, ban yourself. Fireball is the most fun spell to cast in D&D until you get Delay Blast Fireball or Plane Shift. He did that too. He's a monster. You took the negate resistance feat. I can't remember what it's called off. Good.
I also have a Teclis cleric, so whenever I decide, I can take my level 2 in cleric, and I'm a Tempest cleric, so I can do max lightning damage.
Tempest clerics are a lot of fun. No, and that's the thing is like moving cosmetics around like that in D&D, and I that's a separate rantcast, but I'm for it. If someone has a cool backstory for their character in one of my games, and they're like, "Can I switch this cosmetic thing?" Yeah, fine. Because what's going to happen if they fight all those things that normally have fire resistance, and suddenly he's doing electric? Guess what I do? I just switch them to have electric damage. You're not fighting fire elementals like you might have been fighting before. You're fighting lightning elementals. Like it's as a GM, you have infinite time and resources to prepare for what your party's trying to do. Don't at me that it's OP what they're trying to do if they're doing it for a backstory reason.
The other thing that I think I need to quickly mention,
okay,
since Ty's throwing shade, is I had to make this character on a whim one night, 10 minutes into a session when he killed me at level 2 with a fireball as I opened the door. Instant killed.
I can't help but
my character that I spent literally 4.5 days writing a backstory for, like sitting at my desk after work every day for 4.5 days typing up this story, and then he died like 3 sessions in.
Any correlation between the fact that your new character hates fire and your old character died to fire?
It may have been subconsciously something that happened.
Oh man, that's one more than Max to kill him. So you did it again?
Yeah, he did it again.
You did it again, Ty? I've only killed him full to death once, Ty. And I apologized profusely for it and let him still kind of play his character with a catch that he doesn't know about in the future. Let's just say there's a reason that Leroy's missing some teeth in the future. All right. Anything else you want to talk about with High Elves? Sell me on High Elves if you hadn't already.
I haven't. I mean, I don't know what much more there is to sell. It's the perfect army for everyone. Everyone in the world should play this army. Just kidding. No one play it so that I can be special and play it myself.
That's not going to happen with a new army. It's just not going to happen. Like, did you see the most people were like making fun of like Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and this is even before Petrifex Elite. Like, people had that army built like that once it kind of came out and it was new, and people who don't really like live their life based on the internet just like buying it up. Like, it's gonna happen again. I don't know how much. Order isn't exactly a thin like allegiance or a Grand Alliance the way Death is. Death and Destruction are very thin. So I feel like when new Death and new Destruction stuff comes out, people really gobble it up, especially if it's like easier to build than like say 120 gits.
Yeah.
That's why you saw a lot of Troggoth builds early. I think like I don't think it's going to be like 10% of the meta. I don't think it's going to be this huge draw because again, Order people who are like Order players, good guys. Even if I know Order doesn't mean good guys, but like thinking about the archetype of a player mentality, people who want to play good guys tend to go to Order armies. They don't come over and play Death, where like they're stripping you of your free will and making you mindless stuff. Like they don't go play Chaos, where some people think Chaos are good guys, but they're wrong. Usually Chaos are like anarchists and punks who think they're good guys. It's like, no, you're not. You're just a different type of evil. But Order has that like good guy vibe to it. Even if I know they're not good guys. I understand Fire Slayers will like ally with Chaos if they've got, the Urgold or whatever. Like, I get it. But like it does have like that good guy draw, and there's a lot of quote unquote good guy armies to kind of pick from already. So I don't think it's just gonna like be a run on the army in mass, but it's a 100% new army. People are going to play it. I mean, IDK, when IDK was like the new army, people were still buying it. Like tons of people were buying it. So I think people are gonna play it. I hope it's great. I have no hidden agendas regarding that whatsoever. What about Flesh Eater Courts? They're good guys in their own mind.
That's what matters.
I do not have an extra Umbral Spell Portal I can offload. Sorry, Buckets. I use mine like kind of like every other army. I guess any bold predictions, last points you wanna get out there?
I think I put them all out there.
Put them all out there. Okay, just giving you. I
made a good amount of bold predictions, and I lived up to my promise, I think.
Unabashed. Yeah, unabashed hype for a great for this great army. So what are you doing to tide you over until Lumineth come out?
Well, thankfully, my good friends have made me commit to another army that I need to paint in the next month.
So
it was actually my idea, so it wasn't anyone else's. But yeah, I have a zombie dragon, 10 blood knights, and a vampire lord that I need to
go on Legion of Blood
convert.
Or Legion of Night.
Blood.
Legion of Blood. I think there's actually still some gas in the tank for Legion of Blood. Good fat middle army that with the right draw can actually do a lot more damage than people realize. Velazda, that's right. Cool. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
so I'm notoriously someone that hates on death. I genuinely don't like any of it, and it's just my personal opinion, so don't get mad. Um, but I've always loved the vampires, so I've always wanted to do a vampire army, and this one will be pretty unique, I think, if I
It's
can actually figure out how to build this zombie dragon head.
nice little ride off into the sunset moment. I have two zombie dragons. Only one of them is assembled, and then I assembled a non GW sculpt for my second zombie dragon. So let that be a indicator on how I feel about the
Here,
models.
I'll give you a surprise.
Velazda. Okay, he's okay. What do we got here?
It'll be made out of that.
Oh, hell yeah! So he just flashed a box of Archeon. For those of you listening on pure audio, that's pretty metal.
So yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I have Brendan gave me these zombie dragon heads, and I feel like
So is it gonna
I
be
don't
like a
know.
triple zombie dragon head for it? Because that would be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Awesome. Okay, that's awesome. Man, I look forward to. So this is gonna be the Adepticon army then, huh?
This is the team's army.
Oh man.
My army's all right, but you wait till you see Ty's army. I won't say anything
You
more than that,
you won't
but
spoil it? Oh man,
nah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. The teams is the 4-person teams. Um, I think the joy of that for me is revealing what our team is. Uh, but you'll have to go back on Rantcast to figure out who that is. I think I've talked about it before, but suffice to say, Tom Lyons decided if he can't beat Haywo and Mephisto, join them, and
Oh wow,
he's bringing a ringer with him because Vince has to teach all the classes
nice.
from across the pond.
Across the pond.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah. Mephisto and Warhammer. What's ah man, I can't even remember the name of his Erstwood. There we go. And Erstwood Weekly. There we go. So that'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to teams. This is a busy month for me, so I'm like worried that I might not. Like I was worried I wouldn't make it to Adepticon, but because I have a team relying on me, I'm going to. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm moving mountains to make this happen because I can't let 3 people down.
Sick.
All right, man.
What are you playing?
I'm going to be playing my Petragash at Adepticon. Just basically what was going to be my P.A.K.A. list, except fully completed, instead of like a bunch of endless spells shoved in and playing 180 points down besides. So I'll actually have the full list finished, which is basically 60 Bone Daddies, or 60 Mortek Guard, a unit of Cavalous Death Riders, 1 endless spell, Nagash, support hero. So pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
I wanted to do Catacross by then, but with the move and everything I have going on, I won't get my Catacross build done. That looks a lot different. I mean, that runs other stuff. So that's just a different list. A lot more ponies to put together than my Nagash list too. And of course, by the end of the year, I hope to be on my Ossiarch Bone Reapers as doing their Beastclaw Raiders impression list. Which, so by the end of the year, once like we enter like the sort of fall season post GHB, I'll be on my like maybe by Midwest Meltdown I'll have my like really crazy list put together, which is like all of the ponies.
Nice.
I'm doing a bone stampede, instead of brass stampede.
Yeah.
So that'll be a lot of fun. And then Bruce City list, I've got 2 directions to go. So that's 2,500 for Bruce City. Catacross is exactly 500 points, so I could do the easy lazy boy thing and just put in Catacross with my existing list, or do something crazy, and I kind of want to do something crazy. We'll see if I can get it to put together, though. So I'm pretty ambitious with my hobby this year.
Is it OBR all year long for you?
Yeah, I'm locked in on the army, man. Like, I mean, I knew I would be. Like you, when your army was announced, I'm just like, I'm buying this army, I don't even care about the rules type thing. But as they were releasing rules, I was like, this is exactly what I wanted. Like, I was really happy. But I knew I was buying the army. I knew I was playing it, and I knew I was in it for the long haul, because this year is kind of a year of hobby for me. And I figure as long as I take care of myself, I take care of my hobby, and I always strive to give my opponents good games, wins and accolades and all that other stuff will take care of itself. That's how I'm approaching this year. So it's a little bit of a different approach for me for gaming. Because usually I'm like, I put the pressure on myself to be excellent and never let anybody down and all that stuff. So a little bit of a different approach this year. Yeah, so a little bit of a different approach this year to it, because I'm just kind of going in to actually do my hobby justice. I want to play in all the spheres of the game, instead of just like one. I want to play in all three spheres of it. I owe it to myself, and I've got this great army that I didn't expect to get. That I didn't think Games Workshop was going to release another Death army, let alone a Death army with a love letter attached to me on it. And so like I when that happened, I'm like, okay, I'm in this one for the long haul. And by the time I achieve my hobby goals, with the end of the year being I'm going to build Nagash again, but I'm finally going to do one of the sweet conversions I've always wanted to do, that you see and you go, oh, that's really awesome. So I'm going to reward myself at the end of the year and build a second Nagash, and he's going to be...
Is he on the throne?
Yeah, probably. It's either that, or he's going to be on Catacros's base, like, bored and angry type thing. So yeah, like, I've got some ideas. I'll draft up some stuff. So the end of the year, that's going to be my hobby commitment. But by that time I get through the year, I'll have to, like, sort of turn over my existing army. And because the models I painted for P.A.C.A. won't be to the standard I have at the end of the year. And so then I'm going to flip the army and keep playing Bone Daddies until vampires come out. So that's the plan. And somewhere in there, I'll update my Beasts of Chaos list with some Slaves of Darkness goodness. Which is something, reminds me of sort of the way they handled Chaos Knights and the Chaos Warriors in Slaves to Darkness really reminds me of what they did with these High Elves, with these Lumineth. Something that harkens back to something super iconic. Chaos Warriors and Chaos Knights are like just super iconic.
Yeah.
But is very much has that breath of life, that new life breathed into them. And I think that they did that with High Elves in Lumineth, and I think they did that with Slaves. So I just have the sculpts, man, in Age of Sigmar. It just seems like they've figured it out. They've just their team. I mean, have I seen? I don't think there's a model that I've looked at and I went, that is a bad model. Like, there's stuff where I'm like, that's not a model for me. But I can't think of one they've released new for Age of Sigmar where I go, this is objectively a shit model. This is disgusting. This is gross. This is bad. Like, I agree. You look at like Bulgors, for instance. I love the idea of Bulgors. All their art is sick as hell, and their concept's great. But I don't like the way the tufts of fur come out their body, and it just looks very cartoonish. I'm like, this isn't a good sculpt to me. I'd rather buy third party. And nothing on anyone who likes the way that looks, but like for me, I'm like, no. I haven't had that reaction to anything so far. Wait.
Yeah, they've been crushing it.
Wait, I mean, Tzeentch, where do we draw the line for new? When was Tzeentch new? Because fucking flamers look like melted dildos.
Oh, no, that's not new.
Fair, okay.
Tzeentch new is like Zangor.
Dracon thinks sequiturs are ugly AF.
Whoa.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that before.
Wow. I don't know, man. That's a... I mean, state your case. It's your opinion, man. But like that's a spicy one. When the AOS RPG comes out, will you play in a one-shot with Brice and Ty? I absolutely will, Ty. It would be my great honor to play in the one-shot with you. I mean, I get your opinion, but you're wrong. I don't know, like the Thundercats. I wasn't like sold by their face at first, but then I kind of came around to it because it just grew on me. I like that they looked kind of like Panthro from the actual Thundercats.
Yeah.
So, Guo But the thing is, like, Guo is supposed to be stinky and ugly, and you look at it and you go, ah, like, especially when you see its intestines and stuff. And, like, that to me means they've succeeded because I should be grossed out by Nurgle models. I don't know. They've just hit home runs they've all at least been base hits, as far as I'm concerned. They haven't really struck out. They might have bunted a few times, to use baseball metaphors. But I don't think there's been any straight, like, strikeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't mean it like that. It succeeds in that. Fair enough, Frank. Fair enough, man. All right, Brice. Ready to put anything on blast? Any lingering thoughts about Age of Sigmar or otherwise before we cut out here?
I had a hot take about something hobby adjacent, and I can't remember what it is now.
Were you gonna make fun of some? Were you gonna hobby shame someone again?
Hobby shame? You mean people using swordmasters as great swords?
Yeah. Was that it?
No, those people know what they're doing wrong.
Direct proxy people know what they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Can't think
No, man. Life is good. I can't think of it. I just would
man.
give one more shout out to Steve for all that he does and the show he put on this weekend. And again, highly recommend that to anyone that's never been there because it's just something different and cool.
Right on. No, I went to Havoc, can attest. I felt FOMO when I didn't go to Holy Wars, so now like next year I'm going no matter what because I can't miss it 2 years in a row. Yeah, no, I'd second that. I'd also say check out the Basement of Death cruise, Plan and Slan. It is.
I can say one other thing.
Oh, okay.
We are recording Snow or Shine tomorrow.
Okay.
And what is being referred to as BriceCon will be formally announced by its real name.
There you go.
So PACA 2.0 will be announced tomorrow night whenever it gets edited, so probably by the weekend.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that. So getting so we get the official announcement for BriceCon, whatever that may be, called. Hopefully by the time you've listened to this, you should have Plan and Slan downloaded and hear Brice's sultry voice all up in your ears one more time. What would you say is your most favorite AOS sculpt? Oh man, I mean I still love Nagash, honestly. Like he is. If you've ever seen Vampire Hunter D. The second one, I can't remember what the second one's called. It's Bloodlust, I think. There's a character in that named Grove, and Grove, like his whole thing is like when he stops his heart so that he becomes a ghost, and he flies and just shoots laser beams. Nagash really reminds me of Grove, and so like it taps right into that nostalgia pleasure center of my brain, but also like I remember when I was a kid. Like it was the clown Nagash, and like I could never even afford, like I never even owned the clown Nagash, and then I come back to Warhammer and he's got this new just amazing sculpt. Technically it's from the end times, right? But like to me it was brand new, and I just looked at that and I went, it was everything my little kid brain could have wanted. Now I told you that story to say it's Catacross. Catacross defies the logic of what a sculpt even should be. It is the statue David, like Michelangelo, like was resurrected with deathly necromancy magics to come back and sculpt for us one more time a masterpiece, and that is Catacross. I love it. It's awesome. It's a crime to play Bone Daddies and not play with Catacross. Like I see every day I see a post. Man, can someone make a Catacross list? I just can't seem to get him to work. And I'm like, God damn it, you make him work. So that's that to answer your question there, Dracon. Xanthos, I absolutely adore the Kavalos Death Rider sculpts. They're so cool. Like once you put them together, and I knew I was gonna love them with the teaser art. when they first showed that video, and we saw the cavalry like coming up, and the one dude looked like a winged hussar, with the head plume and stuff. As soon as I got those models and I was putting them together, part of the reason I didn't finish them for PACA is I was sitting in the hotel room before PACA. 5 models. Even I could have like sloppily thrown 3 colors on them, right? The bases were already done. I just had to bone tone, black, purple. Like, done. Skip my glow and skip all the highlights and dry brushing. Could have got that done pretty quickly. I refused to. I actually put them back in my case that I'd carried there, and I went to bed, basically. I'm like, I'm not going to rush these guys out. Because I was holding the models in my hand, and I'm just like, they're too awesome. Like, they're so cool. Like, they have all these, like, little tiny details once you start looking at them. Like, there's fucking faces. Full-on faces. Not, like, in the skulls that make up their glowy, in-between bits. There's faces in, like, their structure. It's awesome. It's, like, right out of Nightmare Creatures. It's so awesome. Like, it's right out of Dark Souls. Right out of Bloodborne. That's where I want to live when I play undead stuff. Is I want to be in that weird, like, night terror crazy mode. It's 2 flavors. I either have to be full on nightmare terror like mode undead, or I've got to be like classic Army of Darkness. There's no in between. Like, I go either to 11 or like so classic it hurts. If someone doesn't show up with a chainsaw fist to kill my monster or to kill my undead, you're in the wrong gear. Like, you didn't go far enough. The bone dude in the hamster wheel is a little like, I take him or leave him, but the point man makes up for it. The dude who's like up there just like pointing, and he's even got the finger like kind of down a little bit. Like, it's just these little details. Like, I looked at that model and I'm like, just like the point man is great. Or the dude just like bored shoveling skulls into the furnace on the back of that model. Like, the Bone Reapers stuff, and I can only imagine if they put half, and I know that they put more than half because it's order. Like, if they even put half the attention to detail into Lumineth and the Destruction faction, the Sons of Behemoth, if they even put half the attention to detail into these other 100% new armies, right? Like, they're going to be home runs. And Bone Reapers, for me, home run. If you're a death player, you're already a death player. If you're not on board, you're either Tristan with us Eric Bone Reapers, or like you're not a death player. Like, if you like, they're gorgeous. I love everything about them, and I think it pleases me that Brice loves these high elves as much as he does, because it's the 2s and 9s, right? Like, I look at them and I go, these are quintessentially high elf Age of Sigmar models. Not for me, but I'm not an elf player. And then I'm like, well, but what do other elf players say? And then like Brice just like, I say they're fucking awesome. And I'm like, all right then.
And I'm right, damn it.
I'm like all right then. Like that's all I want is if they keep making models that take their sort of essence and then turn it up, they're gonna find their audience, the people who love to play them. So, I mean, that's perfect. Like, what do giants have to be when this sort of Gargants faction comes out, right? These Sons of Behemoth, huge, awesome dudes. That's all they have to be. And then just make it huge. Like, people, what are the things people like about giants? They like, they like the stuff them in me bag thing. So like, hopefully we see a mechanic or some nod to that. You don't need the stuff them in me bag mechanic, but like one of the giants is like has a satchel like that's just on his back or something. Like, that would be a nice little attention to detail that would honor that giant player. They would love that. They go, oh dude, look at that attention to detail. And then they're just like, oh, by the way, these are like huge, awesome new sculpts. Awesome. That's all you need to do. Like, have them using other people as clubs is all I ask. Like, if you're making a giant who doesn't use people as clubs, I'm gonna be upset. Like, like, the giant army could tempt me if it's like, if I could make a 6-model army, by the way. If it's just six giants, I might break my 2-army rule.
I'm so thankful it's coming out at the same time as Elves, because then I'm not tempted by it, because that's right up my alley.
Just 6 huge dudes. And the conversion potential is endless. right? With huge stuff. Like, I mean, my Cygor kit is still giving me gifts for every, like, because I just, like, harvested all the skulls and extra bits from that. I've had basic materials for one entire army from one Cygor kit. Like, I've still got a second Cygor kit, or Gorgon kit. You know, it's a dual build. Like, what if, like, I get to play, what if they give Cygors new War Scrolls in Destruction, essentially? Like, what if there's, like, something that's like a Cygor in there? I know Cygors are chaos, but, like, what if? The temptation's gonna be real. Yes, I think a giant with a Stormcast Ballista as a crossbow would be awesome. Exactly! So you're in the right headspace, Dracon. That's where I want them to be in when they're making these guys. Like, just have them using other armies' stuff as weapons. Like, what if there's, like, so there's, like, some sort of, like, Spell Eater giant, and he is actually dual-wielding the pendulums. Because like, he's eaten the pendulums, and he's just, like, hitting you with the pendulums. Just D6 mortals, D6 mortals. 2d6 mortals. Like, let's go. I'm so for, like, huge, stupid crap, it's not even funny. Speaking of, that actually is a good point. Do you think Gargants are actually coming out with this? Or the Sons of Behemoth?
When you say with, do you mean like in a dual box, or do you mean at the same time?
Dual box, yeah.
Dual box, no chance, I don't think.
Okay.
Maybe, well, I forgot that OBR did.
We came up with Maw Tribes, but Maw Tribes was existing. So
yeah, I don't think so. I would be really surprised if they were in a box.
All right, fair enough. But we're getting Sons of Behemoth.
Yeah, they're coming for sure.
They're coming, and we haven't seen anything on them.
Adepticon.
Adepticon, yeah, that's the big Adepticon tease.
Yeah, I think we get the rest of the High Elves at whatever it's called.
We get the
Warhammer
Tyrion
Fest or whatever it's called. Is that what's coming up here in like 2 weeks?
Yeah, we get the Tyrion half of them, because I do think I think it's Teclis and Tyrion. I really do.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, no, I mean, I had to play devil's advocate so that there was even a point counterpoint there, but I think we're getting them both. I've been told I'm wrong by, like, I think even, I don't want to misquote, but I think Vince doesn't think they're coming. When I was talking to him,
Vince has been wrong before.
But I think they're coming together. I expected a yin yang release, is what I called it. Where they're going to do like a, because we see a lot of the moon iconography here. It's Hish though, so I think we're going to see some sun iconography with like Tyrion. So I think we're going to get the sun and the moon in a box, basically. That's my thought. That based on 100% nothing other than gut intuition.
Sometimes that's the best thing.
Which brings us, I think this is the final thing to go out on. So they have shipped. This is a tweet from, was it Warchief Baz, confirming board game number 23379 GW Lumineth Realmlords. So they have shipped. I think, like you said, we're gonna see the rest of it. I think we're gonna start seeing rules. We'll see the rules. You don't give a shit. I was in the same boat as you, but I bet you, once you see a rule that piques your interest, you're gonna be like, "Oh, that's so cool," because
I definitely will. But I don't care what that rule is. My whole point.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, man. I want everyone to feel like this. You should get your awesome army. I hope something resonates with you. If not, please allow me to tell you why you should be excited about the army. And then just pick the army and I'll tell you why you should be excited about it. And I'll just become a propaganda machine for that army. Because that's really what drives me is the passion and the love of the thing. I mean, I'm not interested in nerd tribalism. I see when someone is passionate about something, even if it's not the something I'm passionate about, I can feel passionate about it. And that's awesome, because I think we're getting a lot of pretty great stuff. And Lumineth is one of those armies that just, like, yup. Basically, if I see it and I go, in a different reality I played this army, because I didn't fall in love with the army I fell in love with, then they hit a home run. And I think that's what they did here.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
I can't fucking wait.
Well, And the crappy part is like it dragged so long. It was basically November before I finally got my stuff, and they teased me in July. I don't think you have to wait that long though.
I think it's the week after Adepticon.
Week after Adepticon. Bold prediction there. All right, chat gang, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Go Bucks, go Bucks indeed, Ty. Chat gang, thank you so much. Like I said, you are the show within the show. You keep us going. Brice, thank you for coming on to hype some high elves with me. Some hype elves with me, if you will.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.